Welcome to the first episode of the Football Is Groovy Podcast with Dev and Matt, coming live, no not live, from Pretoria, South Africa. And Dev, we're going to review preview and review
We're
halfway
going to talk
through this.
football.
Yeah.
We're going to talk football.
So this is now Saturday. This is now Sunday.
Sure.
So we're now reviewing Saturday and previewing Sunday right before the Tottenham Arsenal game.
Correct. Big results yesterday, big matches today.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
So yesterday, just to start off with that, a couple games, interesting results. Probably the Man U West Ham game was the most interesting because we both didn't think that was going to happen.
No, we were talking about this beforehand, and both of us couldn't see United actually pulling it off. And the way that the game started, no Rashford, no Fernandes, kind of led us straight to our prediction. But early West Ham goal, we were feeling good about it. And then Ole made some good changes, contrary to his change-making decisions in the midweek. Brought on Fernandes, brought on Rashford on the stroke of half-time. And as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah, and we were talking about the pivotal role that Bruno has in the squad. And clearly, I mean, he's just not droppable. He has to play. He's such a key player in that team. And just with the chances that he created in that one half that he played, it's clear that he's going to be the one who's creating these chances to score the goals.
100%. That stat that you telling me about earlier, that he made, 8 or 9 chances in that one half alone, which obviously changed the match around completely. And when you have a player playing in that number 10 position like him, and he does that kind of thing, first name on the team sheet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and just when I tuned in, I saw him put the ball through to Rashford. That's an awesome ball that he made, and Rashford got in behind the defense and hit the post. That could have been easily 5, probably more.
Could have.
So,
my opinion, I think what they're getting out of Fernandes now is what they were hoping to get out of Pogba when he signed for them a few years ago. I think that kind of undroppable player who week in, week out puts in good performances, and this is his first full season, but he's a United player. You can see that the way that he plays, the way that he talks off the pitch. You can see that he gives his all for that United team, and he's the kind of player that Ole needs, and he's the kind of guy that United need to actually go forward and kind of find their way back to the United of old when Ferguson was their manager. I think he's the perfect guy to play alongside Rashford and Martial and Greenwood now. I think beforehand, a lot of the creativity was resting on Rashford's shoulders, worrying maybe about Pogba and Mata trying to fill that role. I think now that you have a out-and-out number 10 who can put those passes in, I think something's coming right for United at the moment, as much as that pains me to say as a Tottenham fan.
Yeah, I think it's exciting though. I don't know what it is. Watching Man U play well is just exciting. To me, it always has been. So to see this, I wonder how much more they can get out of Bruno. Like, is this as far as it goes?
The problem with that is there's a fine line between a player doing what Bruno's doing and then resting too much on his shoulders. And United need to be careful, and they need to invest wisely. Otherwise, I think you'll see Bruno burning out. And not because he's not a good player who can't handle it, just some guys, if you have to be the role player and the playmaker for 3 years on your own, and that's your sole role, it could get to him. So I think they need to continue investing in good players and smart choices, not just splurge 80 million on whoever just because they can. They need to invest wisely.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, if they were to bring another key player in, I mean, you would argue that De Beek is that player. That was a huge signing, and right now hasn't been used. So is that the player that should be,
I think,
joining him?
That's, I think, what a lot of United fans thought when they signed him. I think having watched him at Ajax and all of that and the kind of stuff that he was doing there, obviously, he was the player who got taken off at halftime and replaced by Bruno, which I think is tough because when you look at Van der Beek's previous performances, he scored a couple of goals, got a couple of assists, he's played well. So I don't know what's going on inside Ollie's head, but I think Van der Beek should be that player who plays with Bruno. Obviously, having Bruno and Van der Beek in the same lineup doesn't suit United's shape. With kind of like the 3 front men and then the number 10 role, and then the 2 deep lying midfielders doesn't really suit having those 2 players on the field at the same time. But then the big question is, then why did you buy Van der Beek?
Yeah.
Because it's not like Fernandes is a 33-year-old guy who's going to retire in a couple of years.
Yeah.
He is there for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So unless Ole wants to play Van der Beek in that kind of like number 6, number 8 role behind Fernandes, which
doesn't make too much sense.
He can play that role, but that's not where he excels.
Yeah. I would have thought that he'd be I mean, it's not the first choice, but a second choice would be an impact sub, a 70th minute come on and actually replace Bruno.
Well, I think that's kind of how he's been used lately, but why buy an impact sub?
No, I agree.
Why buy some of his
squad
quality?
Depth, I mean, but
why?
Yeah.
Someone of his quality is not, you don't buy him as a super sub. And quite frankly, he hasn't really been a super sub. Fernandes was the super sub yesterday, not Van der Beek.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that was probably a stressful. Okay, we need to pull through on this game, so let's just bring on the big guns and just hopefully these guys can.
I agree with you entirely. I think. I wonder if what happened in Champions League during the week against PSG had something to do with that. With Fred sending off, a lot of people obviously criticizing Ole's decision not to take Fred off, even after it rumored that Fernandes was shouting at Ole to make a substitution. So I wonder if that had any kind of impact on Ole's decision to make 2 changes at half time. Because it's strange, because being down against West Ham, obviously if you aren't playing all, that's always stressful, but to go for 2 straight substitutions, it's...
Yeah.
But we've seen what impact subs like that can do.
Well, they have the players.
This is true.
So I don't think that this is a sign of tactical genius from Ole.
Yeah.
This is just, he has good players. You put the
he's
good players
got the options
on.
available to him.
Like, I'm not trying to make it sound like it's just Football Manager and swap in, but I mean, what more else is there?
Yeah, I mean, Ole, obviously himself being a super sub back in his playing days, would know when is the right time to make a substitute when you need a goal.
So it's more about knowing when to make that sub.
I think so.
Not who the sub is.
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think you're not going to bring on the youngster then.
Sure.
You're not going to bring on someone who's only 18 years old.
Sure.
To win you the game.
Yet Greenwood scored the goal.
Yeah, this is true.
So.
But yeah, I think probably say 60% knowing when, 40% knowing who to bring on.
Yeah.
Ole got it right.
But okay, Man U won the game. So that was like I'd say the one we definitely didn't see coming. Chelsea beat Leeds 3-1. You called that. I was going for 3-0. But either way, I mean, that was pretty much what we thought was going to happen. Chelsea dominate and Leeds put up a little bit of a fight.
Yeah, I think obviously Leeds managed to nick a goal right at the start in the 4th minute through Patrick Bamford. I don't think Chelsea were ever worried. I think they played their football. They came back, not instantly, but certainly within a couple of minutes. And they never looked worried. 1, 2, 3 goals. Interesting midfield combination, playing Mount and Havertz together. Obviously with Kante as the deeper midfielder. I'm not too sure what happened with Ziyech. I saw he came off quite early, replaced by Pulisic. I was quite unhappy about that because Ziyech was my Chelsea player and my fantasy side, so I lost some good points with that.
That's why you need to invest in some defenders.
Yeah, I would think having 2 City defenders and Sergio Reguilon would earn me some points.
Yeah, you'd think.
But
But, all right, so that was Chelsea Leeds, and that was the last game of the day. So then now today, Crystal Palace absolutely
annihilated West Bromwich Albion.
5-1. So
started off with the own goal, demoralising early red card.
Yeah, worst nightmare of a weekend. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just.
I think West Brom will be happy to go home and just take the day off now.
Start prepping for next week.
Yeah. In the Premier League, you lose a man that early on. It's always going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah.
2 goals for Zaha, 2 goals for Benteke. I think Zaha will be glad with those 2 goals.
8 goals in 9 games.
Yeah, it's on form.
Really good.
He's the heart of that Crystal Palace team. He does well, Palace does well.
Yeah.
But then at the moment, we've currently got Sheffield and Leicester playing. 1-1 at half-time.
I should check the score, actually. I don't know what the score is now. But
let me grab that for you quickly.
But yeah, I mean, that's... I would think that Leicester's going to take that. Hopefully they'll pull through, because my bet is on them, and everything goes down the toilet if they can't pull through. Then
but you're used to that kind of stuff, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
What's new? Yeah.
We'll have a chat about betting later. Still 1-1, 68 minutes played.
Okay.
So,
hopefully someone pulls through at the end.
Could do with the Madison goal.
Yeah. So that's on now, and then after this is the
League One for the weekend.
Yeah.
One that I've got my eye on. It's going to be interesting.
So we talked a little bit about it, but what do you think? 3-1? 2-1?
I'm thinking 2-1 to Tottenham. I think being the North London derby, it's always going to be a fiery affair. There hasn't been a 0-0 since 2000 a couple of years now. I'm not going to give an actual date. So you put
a long time.
If you had to put your money on a 0-0 and you get some good odds.
Yeah.
Those lineups are in. So I'll just read that quickly. So for Tottenham, Hugo Lloris, Sergio Reguilon, Toby Alderweireld, Eric Dyer, Serge Aurier, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Son Heung-min, Moussa Sissoko, the GOAT, Giovanni Lo Celso, Steven Bergwijn, and Harry Kane. Probably a surprise. A lot of people I thought he might not play. So I think that'll be the surprise for Arsenal over there to see him on the lineup. Although, if they know Harry Kane, they wouldn't be surprised at all to see him playing against them.
Yeah.
And then for the Arsenal, Bernd Leno in goal, a back 3 of Kieran Tierney, Gabriel and Rob Holding. And then Hector Bellerin, Bukayo Saka, Thomas Partey, and Granit Xhaka in the midfield with Alex Lacazette, Willian, and Aubameyang making up the front 3. So both sides probably their strongest 11s.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a good game. Interesting factor. Let me know what your thoughts on this, if it's going to make a difference to the game. First match back with fans in the stadium. I think Spurs allowed 2,000 of their fans back. Do you think it's going to have any impact?
It should. I mean, I would think that if you're part of the 2,000 fans coming back, you're probably one of the diehards.
Most likely, yes.
So I think it does add an extra element. Even if it's just a small crowd, I think that can give the players a little boost that there are some people out there for the first time in months, Yeah. So it should. But you never know. I mean, if you... Yeah, it's not the end-all, be-all for the game. It's still a relatively small crowd, but I think it should help them.
I think it'll be a nice boost for Spurs. I think, go in for a crunching tackle, take a shot, score a goal, just to hear that actual in-stadium sound of fans booing, getting excited, whatever it may be. I think it'll be good for them, or slight morale boost. Obviously for Arsenal, they had fans back at the Emirates during the midweek, so they'll have some kind of familiarity with having fans back in the stadium. Obviously now it's 2,000 hostile North Londoners. I think it'll be interesting. I think it might add some fire to the game, but more to play for now, especially from Tottenham's side. You want to put in a good play, a good performance against your number one opposition.
Yep.
Make the fans happy.
Yeah, I mean, just based on how Arsenal's been playing this season, I'm going to say that Tottenham's going to win this 3-0, 3-1 maybe. Tottenham's been looking really good to me. So from a betting perspective, the numbers game, I mean, you got to go with Tottenham as the preferred option for this game.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the way Arsenal have been playing, they've been far off their best. Whereas obviously Tottenham, top of the table, first time in a long time. I think they've got a point to prove now this season. I think if there's a season Spurs can really make a good push for the title and actually win, I think it's now. Jose in his first full season, he's got absolute quality squad with excellent depth. Whereas I think with Arsenal, obviously Arteta's been around for a while now and he's pulled off some magic, but I think they're still trying to find their best starting 11 and figure out where to go. But I think with a match of this size, form goes out the window. I think this is This is the big match. This is the one on the calendar that both sets of fans and players are both, they've got their eye on right from the start of the season. So I think if there's a game where we see Arsenal at their best, it'll probably be this one. I think away from home against Tottenham, you'll see the Arsenal players come out. They'll fight.
Well, this is exactly where I think Jose as a manager should shine, because he should bring that level of experience and just level-headedness to the squad to say that emotions shouldn't be a factor in this game, even given the type of game and the derby that it is. You don't win trophies, you don't win championships by just letting everything go out the window in the last minute. So I would like to think that Jose is going to be calm and collected in character as usual, and kind of just carry the team through this.
I think I might see something different. I think he's going to set up similar to how he set up against Chelsea. I don't think it'll be like the City game where he sat back and just let City come at Tottenham. I think Jose is going to want to have his players playing with fire and wanting to go into tackles hard and really get up into the Arsenal players' faces.
This is an Eric Dyer game.
Correct, yes. I think that's probably likely exactly why he's chosen him. I think also if you've listened to any of Jose's recent post-match interviews, the interviewers have asked him, are you challenging for the title this season? He says, no, we're just aiming to win every single game. So taking it one at a time. I think I agree with you that this is just another game. They're going to play as if this is just another game, nothing different. But Tottenham Arsenal is fire.
Well, I'm quite keen to see it. So that's coming up really soon. And after that is another big one, which you could argue is also the game of the day. Liverpool versus Wolves, or as you like to call it, Portugal B. So I think that's going to be interesting. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, and I think we're both on the same page. You think Liverpool's going to take this one? Probably 3-0, 3-1, given Jimenez is out, and they've lost Jota, who's now doing the opposite.
Be lining up against them.
Yeah, so no, I think it's going to be good. I think Liverpool have been looking pretty good even without Van Dijk in the defence. I think we should see goals today.
No, I think goals will be a definite. I think no Jimenez, no Jota. Traore hasn't scored a goal for a while.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough for Wolves. I think they've lost Doherty at the back. Neves and Moutinho haven't been controlling midfielders like they were last season, so I think Wolves are going to have their backs against the wall. But excuse the pun, but never corner a wolf. So if there's a game, if there's a game where we see the best of Wolves, it could very well be this.
Yep.
I think at Anfield, Wolves like to push the big teams. They like to give them a challenge, like to them run for their money. Can they do it without arguably their most important player, albeit who hasn't really been on form this season? Jimenez hasn't been scoring goals as freely as he would have liked to. But if I had to give a prediction, I'd probably say 3-0 to Liverpool.
No, I agree with that.
I can't see Liverpool faltering against Wolves.
Yep. No, agreed. And then the last one is Brighton-Southampton on Monday night.
Or not.
And I think that's also an interesting one.
I think so. South Coast derby. Both teams have been playing interesting football. I think Southampton had a bit of a rocky start to the season, but I think they've really come into their own now. I think Ward-Prowse is really, really controlling that midfield well. He's a good playmaker. Brighton, on the other hand, with Tariq Lamptey on the right back there, great on the counter-attack, good pace, good attacking players. I think for me, their key player, Pascal Gross in the midfield. If you can get the best out of him, you stand a very good chance of beating any team. His creativity and his finishing are up there with some of the best. But yeah, it's going to be a good game. I think Southampton probably have more to play for. But Brighton, they're also one of the kind of teams who they play well. They play well together. They know how to set up against teams. So I think it's going to be an interesting match. Yeah. My prediction, probably Southampton 2-1.
Really? I'll go the other way. I'll probably say Brighton will take this 2-1.
Okay,
but
interesting.
We will see that. No one has money on this, so
no,
who cares?
Yeah.
But But yeah, we'll see.
You'll probably get this one right.
Yeah, given my luck. Yeah, so other than that, that's the sort of preview review slash review
Premier League side of it done.
of the weekend. Then one of the what were some of the interesting stats we were talking about now? The one was Bruno, which we talked a little bit about, which was that he created 9 chances in just one half, and that he really looks like the sort of pivotal player in United. But what's new? What else do we have there? There's Ronaldo's 750 goals, which
scored a lot of goals.
I mean, just when you do the maths and you've seen all the posts that are like, oh, if you've played for 20 years and you score 35 goals a season, that would be the same. But it's kind of surreal to think about it, because you're like, it's Ronaldo. He's just doing his, it's the same thing. But you kind of get desensitized to the real meaning behind that number. It's actually insane. Like,
no, it is. I think one of the stats that really put into perspective for me was they compared Ronaldo at this age now compared to other world-class players from before.
Yes.
At this age, so the likes of Thierry Henry, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard and the likes, and where they are or were in football at this age. And some of them are retired, others were playing for bid-part clubs in America and Japan. But here's Ronaldo going from Real Madrid to Juventus, still banging in goals for fun.
Literally.
I think that truly showcases the man's brilliance.
Yeah, greatness, really. I mean, I was watching a video earlier about Pele, and that he'd scored 1,200. I don't remember the exact number, but 1,200 goals in his career, and that is insane. That is pure madness to think that that's possible in someone's career.
Yeah.
I mean, most players. I mean, if you're injured for a year, or a season, that could be 60 goals gone just like that, probably more.
And certainly if you have that caliber.
I mean, if you have that caliber. But I mean, for most players, they get an injury and they're out. That's probably half the goals they'd ever score in their career. That's gone.
Could very well be, yeah. I think, and if you look at Ronaldo's injury record.
Yeah, exactly.
He's had small injuries then and there.
Nothing that's caused him to be out for more than a couple of weeks in the season.
No.
So,
which was quite ridiculous, especially when you consider some of the tackles that go in on him and how hard he works and the fact that he never stops pushing himself. It's incredible. Yeah. I think to have the opportunity to watch a play like that, don't think you'll see someone like that.
I thought about that the other day as well. I was thinking, we watch Ronaldo, and it's almost now at this time, if you miss a game of him playing at Juventus, it's kind of like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you don't care to tune into every single game that they play, right? But I mean, imagine, sure, everything's digitized, so 100 years from now, you will be able to come back and watch all these games, but to truly, tune in and watch an El Clasico live, I mean, those days are already gone. So that we can't watch that ever again, right? But I wonder what people 100 years from now, after everyone is dead, and they look back and think, these people in this era did not appreciate watching this guy play, or Messi, or any of these players for that matter. But I just wonder,
I think
it's insane.
Kind of get an estimate of how people react. You just take a look at Diego Maradona now and his death, and particularly in Argentina and then the Napoli fans, how they reacted to that.
Yeah.
I think, just personally myself, I've always known who Diego Maradona was. I've known the hand of God goal and then the other goal that followed in that game, but never really invested much time into actually looking at how good this player actually was until now.
Yeah.
And you realize what a player this man was. So I think Ronaldo and Messi, for that matter, both of them, I think, will receive similar reactions.
Of course.
Speaking of Messi, obviously everyone knows how good his left foot is, especially from the dead ball situation. I know I've scored a couple of them on FIFA against you.
Okay.
All know about that. But it would appear the teams in La Liga have figured out how to stop him.
Yeah, and I feel like this is at least for us, how we play FIFA, we used to do this all the time.
This used to be standard.
Just put a couple guys in the goals and no one can score.
Yeah, just drop your player back onto the goal line and
There
sort
you go.
it.
Easy, you know.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like, why did teams not start doing this sooner? In a way, to at least that's how I saw it. But at least now they figured it out, and it's quite funny, to be honest.
Oh, it's hilarious watching him line up the ball, and then all of a sudden there's a wall, another wall,
Another
another
wall,
wall,
yeah.
and then there's a player on the line.
Yeah.
And I think, what can you do as Messi?
I mean, you got to have such pinpoint accuracy that it's got to go in top corner so that the defender, even if he jumps at his full height, the ball goes over his head. I mean, the level of precision.
But let's be honest, if there's a player with such precision, it's Messi.
And apparently not in 62 attempts.
This is true.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's... I wonder if it decreases the quality of football. So,
100%.
like, as an example, in tennis, what started happening was some guys would start doing these cheeky underhand serves. I don't know if you've ever seen them, right? So one of the players did that at Wimbledon, and Wimbledon is a very traditional tennis court. Like you want to see the traditional fast-paced serves, fast attacking tennis, and the player does this little cheeky serve, and he wins the point because it's you're not expecting it, so the ball just drops and boom, there's the point. But the crowd starts booing him. And I wonder if it's the same kind of concept here, because it's like, well, it's not a hack, but it feels kind of like a hack.
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to just sportsmanship. I think what you're saying about tennis is it's tough, and I guess the same thing with the football. I think at the end of the day, your goal is to score more goals than your opposition.
Yeah,
and obviously on the flip side of that is to not concede a goal. So if there's this guy who is notorious for scoring world-class free kicks, and he's in the position now against your team to score a free kick like that, of course you're going to do whatever you can to potentially stop him. That's why you've got a wall there. Hopefully the player hits it a bit too low, hits the wall, they jump and they manage to header it over. So I think now, look, is it in bad taste to make it that difficult for a player to score a goal? Probably yes.
Yeah, it is.
But at the same time, I guess you could argue that it's now testing Messi. What kind of a player is he still going to try and score the goal?
That's a fair point.
Is he going to try and be creative? Obviously, it's not just him on his own; it's the rest of the Barcelona camp. But it's tough though, because obviously these teams just don't want Messi to score.
But how far can you push this point? Because now you're starting to see, okay, you have the main wall with 3 players, and you have the goalie, and sometimes 2 players next to him. So the goalie's just standing in the middle to be able to take it from each side, and then a player on each side by the posts. How far do you take this? Because eventually, I mean, if imagine you have a player who's so good that he can score regardless of those 2 defenders in the goals, right? Now teams are going to start putting 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Why don't you just put the whole lineup? Why don't you just put everyone in the goals, right? So my point is like that defeats the. I know it's still within the rules of the sport, but I think traditionalists will look at that and go, "This is not what a free kick's supposed to be."
No, and that I think is the big point is the traditionalists. I think obviously these Spanish clubs are now doing whatever they can to stop Leo Messi. Yeah. But whether or not we'll see it against other free kick takers in other leagues, will we see it in Italy when Ronaldo steps up to take a free kick? Will we see it in the Paris league? In the French league when Neymar steps up for PSG? Will you see it in the Premier League when De Bruyne steps up for a free kick? I don't think so. I think it's partly down to the fact that Messi had such a good conversion rate with his free kicks. But at the same time, I don't think it'll be around for long. I just think it's kind of a...
I think it's a fad.
Yeah. I think that some guy said, hey, why don't we try this? And it's working now.
It's working. Look, what's not broke, don't fix what isn't broke. So if it keeps going, I don't see why clubs will stop. But to your point, they got to get more creative then.
No, exactly. All it takes is for Barcelona to come up with a new kick routine when they roll it around.
There's 2 players now outside of the player area. Exactly. They're in the goals. Figure out a way to take advantage of that.
Oh, exactly.
So fine, it will push the sport into a new area. But I think we're probably gonna tune into this game now.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, thanks for listening. And
We'll see you next time.
yeah.